The following is my conversation with Stefan Reisinger. Stefan is the Managing Director of Fairnamic. Fairnamic is the organization that puts on the Eurobike event. We recorded this just 1 week before the Eurobike event, and where he wanted to take some time to just get his feedback on how things are going, kind of an update, any sort of innovations for the 2025 edition, and some tips and tricks on how to best take advantage of the event and optimize your time at the event. This is the Business of Cycling podcast. So Stefan Reisinger, thank you so much for coming on. I know you're very busy at this moment. Imagine about as busy as it gets. Actually, no, you told me the last time you told me if things aren't kind of done by now, there's a problem. So maybe you're not quite as busy as I expected, but I guess you can give me some more insight there. But thank you for coming on, CEO or Managing Director of Fairnamic, the organization that runs Eurobike. So yeah, thank you for going on. Where does this podcast find you today?
Thanks, Wyatt. Great that I have the opportunity to be with you and to talk a bit about Eurobike. That's coming up next week. And yes, of course, we are pretty busy now, especially, of course, my team, because there's always a lot of kind of last minute things and issues to solve. But on the other hand side, we are already working on the 2026 edition, which is then more my task. So yeah, but it's a busy time of the year. Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to, I think we were just going to do a quick, just give the people, the audience some insight on how things are going, innovations around the event. So maybe just 2025, what's going on? How are things going?
Well, I think things are going pretty well. We are super prepared for the show, so everything feels good and healthy and on track. We expect 1,500 companies exhibiting there, a bit more. There's always, of course, also some kind of last-minute bookings, but that will be kind of the number of companies we are expecting. Of course, we are also busy on the ticket side. So for visitors, we have a good pre-registration number. So we are optimistic and positive for the event. And last but not least, of course, also looking on the weather forecast for next week. Also, that is important. So it's supposed to be nice and sunny weather in Frankfurt. So everything will be prepared for another, I hope, so outstanding show in Frankfurt.
So in terms of exhibitors, are you looking at something similar to last year?
Yeah, it's a bit less than last year, but I think that's due to the overall situation in the bicycle industry. It's not been an easy year for the business and also not for us. A show like Eurobike is always kind of mirroring the market, and the market was declining in the last couple of months, and that also has an impact on our show. But we are anyway super happy with the outcome. We have a lot of kind of newcomers to the show. We have new companies exhibiting for the first time. We have startups. We have kind of huge international participation, which is on an all-time high. Of course, we are also missing some brands for, I think, various reasons. That might be financial reasons, or also some companies went out of business over the last couple of months. So that's part of the game. But all in all, we are super optimistic. And I think there is also a good chance that Eurobike 2025 will be kind of a turnaround point for the industry. And things are going now better in the next couple of months ahead.
And you mentioned that the event sort of mirrors macroeconomic trends. There's been a lot of talk about China in the last couple of years. Have you seen that in the participation of the exhibitors as well?
Yeah, of course. So we have a big participation from mainland China, but also from Taiwan and other countries, Southeast Asian countries. And of course, there's also a lot of kind of European or Western brands and players there, but it's kind of the global hub of the bicycle industry. So in the end, everybody will be here. So some of the brands which are kind of missing with the booth, but they will be there with their teams and their product management and their management teams. So it is the biggest gathering of the industry in the year in Frankfurt next week.
And what are some innovations I know that you see this whole event from a really high level, And so what are some of the innovations you see that are kind of noteworthy that you want to let people know about?
Yeah, well, I don't want to name any kind of specific products or brands, but of course the whole sector is evolving. We see a kind of good movement in the high-end race sector. I think that's still something which is going pretty well.
Road race.
Road race, yeah,
Okay.
or drop bar, also gravel, of course, is on a good or has a good momentum. Of course, there's also a lot of innovations around kind of motors and drive units, and right now also discussions about how this will kind of maybe also, yeah, have an influence on legislation in the future. There's a lot of discussions on that level, and yeah, so we expect that it will be next week a very busy week for everyone involved. There's a lot to talk about the global situation, about tariffs, about relocation production to Europe, but also the overall market development. I think it's really important that people meet face to face, and next week is a big opportunity to do that.
And so as far as innovations, not from maybe not from the product or brand side, but innovations as far as any sort of new events or new types of participation events that you're going to be having for the event itself, what do you have anything noteworthy you want to speak about there?
Yeah, sure. Every year we try, of course, also to improve our show and the conception of the show, and we add new features and new events. And maybe just to name or two or three, one thing is we are launching next week is we together with the Bike Europe magazine and
I
a
saw that.
research institute.
I saw
Yeah,
that. Yeah, today.
research institute. We are launching a global bicycle purchasing index, which I think is really an interesting tool.
Yeah, that's all everybody was talking about during COVID. We're like, we don't have any data. We
Yeah,
can't.
yeah, yeah. So that's a big issue in the bike industry. There's not enough data, and it's really difficult to plan ahead. And maybe we can help and support the industry a bit with that new tool, and that is something we will launch next week. We are already excited because there's good momentum and good feedback on that. I
What
think
it,
that's an interesting one. Yeah.
what is it exactly? Can you explain a little bit about what it is? Global purchasing, global bicycle purchasing index, or go cycling,
Yeah,
or it's
yeah.
bike and components?
We reached out to product managers and buyers from important brands around the globe and asked them to kind of fill in an interview and give us some feedback on their individual estimations for the future. And this data will be collected and then, of course, neutrally then also kind of evaluated. And we are able to present now the first figures next week from the first round. And the plan is that we do that regularly in the future. So every 3 months, what the expectations from the buyers and the product managers for the future of the cycling industry is.
So like,
These kind of
like,
these kind of indexes, they are already established, for example, in the automotive sector.
okay.
That is something which is really relevant there. And so far, something like that has been missing in the bike sector, and that's the reason why we jumped in here.
So it's certain data points, more subjective, or actually real numbers, or is it a little mix of that, or what?
It's for sure it is predictions, but kind of then I would say crowdsourcing. If a lot of people and a lot of knowledge is used and collected, then I think there can be interesting results for brands and also for bicycle assemblers or companies in the supply chain, kind of to better plan ahead. Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay. And one other topic that I wanted to jump into. So you mentioned that there is this global cycling index. As far as panels go and that type of thing, is there anything noteworthy that you wanted to mention that you're seeing that maybe could be a kind of a showcased?
Well, all in all, we do next week more than 200 panels and workshop for very different target groups, from retail to industry, from national to global, from sustainability to association topics. So it's a wide range of topics we are addressing next week. One more to mention is Bicycle Logistic Conference as part of Eurobike. So that's also an important one we run during the show.
So it'll be within Eurobike is going to be a conference dedicated to bicycle logistics. Oh,
yes,
cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's also new, but of course there's a lot of other formats and networking events and parties and stuff going on. So I think it's really worth coming over for a couple of days. It will not be boring.
Sure. No, I mean, I think you mentioned that there will be some players that have stepped back this year due to potential, strategic and investment decisions, but it sounds like regardless of the presence of certain brands, that there'll be plenty of activity and conferences to continue to be extremely relevant to the industry. So that's super cool. As far as kind of giving people insight into how best to enjoy the show, can you give any insight to visitors? We have a lot of industry folks that follow, basically mostly just industry folks that follow this podcast. Maybe do you want to give any tips or suggestions about how best to enjoy the show?
Yeah, my advice for sure would be to download the Eurobike app, because that offers you the whole picture of what's going on there. You can find, of course, all the companies exhibiting there. You can find all the events. You can kind of organize yourself during the day. You can plan your day with the app and make sure you don't miss out anything. I think that's the best advice for everyone who is interested or planning to come over. Check it out before you travel. Make sure to plan your day. Otherwise, there's the risk you get lost in a big show and maybe not reach your targets.
Sure. No, I get it. I'm doing that, as sitting down, kind of making sure that you optimize, and you have to eat, obviously, because when you're walking around like that, you do have to have a bar, like
That helps.
a
That helps.
snack or something. Yeah, because otherwise you just you kind of burn or bonk, I guess you could call it. So, well, thanks so much, Stefan. I really appreciate you giving me some time here. I know people will appreciate it, and giving a voice to the organization, I think, is super important. So that's why I reached out. So thank you. And I have a panel which you guys have graciously, are having me and four guests around branding. So that's on Wednesday at 11. So I'll look forward to seeing you and the team.
Super. Thanks for having me, Wyatt. It was my pleasure, and see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week in Frankfurt.
Bye-bye.
Bye.